Hey folks, Tony here, and I've been working on the Tailwind package idea that I shared a while ago, and I wanted to show you some cool stuff. So this is the same app that I've been using to build, Turbo and import maps and whatnot. So I'm using this as a sandbox to build out some ideas. I wanted to show you something. So for this app, if you check out the file structure, we don't have any package.json file, package.lock or yarn or anything. We also don't have the webpack.mix.config.js. We also don't have, we don't have anything related to Node.js. That's what I want to say. Also, what we don't have over here in the app.play.php, instead of using the mix function, I'm using the Tailwind CSS function, which is a new function that I created. This is actually not working. So if we try that out in the browser and refresh, we see the error over here that the Tailwind CSS file manifest doesn't exist. So that's nice, right? I mean, not really, but yeah, it's cool. Okay, so what's the first thing that we have to do? This package is actually a wrapper around the Tailwind CSS binary. So the first thing that we have to do is actually download the binary. So if we run Tailwind CSS download, that should detect my operating system, my CPU architecture, and the version of Tailwind that I want to download, and fetch that from GitHub releases. So that's cool. This means that I have a Tailwind binary over here. This file is ignored in my git ignore file, so that's not tracked under source control. So yeah, since the binary is different for all operating systems and architecture, CPU architecture, well, I have no other way than letting the users download it. And if you run the download command again, it will detect that you already have a version of it running, and it will not attempt to run that, to overwrite it, unless you actually use the force. It will get rid of the existing binary and replace it with another one. So that's awesome. But yeah, let's actually use it. If we run artisan list tailwind CSS, we see that there are 4 commands over here. One is the download command that we just ran, and there's a build one, an install one, which is for new applications to install the Tailwind stuff in a new application. This is an existing application, so I'm not actually running this. There's a watch command, which is calling the build command, passing the -- watch flag, but it's a nice alias to that. Anyways, so let's try it out. Let's run Tailwind CSS build. And as you can see, it looked like a minute and a second and a half. So if we come back to the browser and refresh, we see that it worked. So that's awesome. The URL is this one, pointing to localhost css app.css. That's nice, but yeah, we can also run it, as I said, either with the watch flag, or we can run the Tailwind CSS watch command, which is the same thing. And yeah, the watch command, the watch version will keep the process running and detect file changes. So if we go back to the source code and we change the index over here, we change this from gray to red and from 800 to 600, we can see that it picked up the changes, generated a new version, and if I refresh over here, we can see that it's working. So that's awesome. But that's not all of it. If we run the Tailwind CSS build with the digest flag, it will still generate the file, but it will version the file name using the file's content as a digest. So if we refresh over here, everything should still be working. But if you notice over here, the downloaded file, it has a hash, a SHA-1 hash of the file content. And you can also see that over here. So that's awesome. And the way we do it is I created a Tailwind manifest JSON over here, which holds the key that you're trying to get and the file path. So every time we generate a build, we create a new file path. We create a new manifest basically. Let's try without the digest and see what we get there. So that gets the version of the file without the digest. Right now, if we check the contents of the file, we can see that it's not minified. So there's another flag, Tailwind CSS build, digest, and then minify, which this should be used for production. In production, you don't want spaces and comments and all that. So if we check out the generated file, we can see that it's actually all minified and versioned. So that's awesome. So yeah, that's what I got so far, I think. By the way, let me just show you that the watch command also works. And if we come back here and change this back to what it was, gray 800, we can see that the changes were picked up. And if we refresh the browser, we can see that it all works. So everything seems to be working, and I have a proof of concept ready. I'm gonna extract this to a package and I'm gonna publish and release it. So this, for this application, at least for the kind of application that I built, I'm not gonna need Node.js locally anymore because I have import maps and, you know, now Tailwind CSS all packaged up in composer packages. So that's awesome, I think. I also have a configuration. Let me show that. So I have a Tailwind CSS configuration file over here, and you can use this to configure some basic stuff like the destination file for the compiled Tailwind asset, the source file, which is the resource css app.css, the bin path, which is the location to the binary. Right now it's in the base path, but you can configure this to whatever you want. By the way, if you want to host the version yourself, you can download it on the server, keep it there, and just change this, and you don't need to run the Tailwind CSS download command. Also, we have the version over here, which is the version of Tailwind that you're going to be installing when you use the download command. Yeah, that's the package. That's what I wanted to share. I think this is great. Actually, I'm pretty happy with it, and I have no need to run Node CSS over here in this project, so that's nice. As always, let me know what you think, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.